So put on your veteran of political campaigning authority for this question, and that is, what does it mean to Joe Biden's campaign that, in effect, tonight the Democrats have canceled the convention, saying that delegates should not come to the convention, that it should all be basically held virtually? We don't have a model for this. We've never seen it before. But given where this campaign is, Donald Trump still hoping to have a version of a convention in Florida where the coronavirus is raging. What is the convention effect going to be in this campaign?
I don't know what the effect on the number of votes is going to be, but I do know that this moment requires an unconventional strategy. You're not going to be able to do the things that you could do before. You cannot go and speak to voters person to person. And that's really where much of the persuasion happens. So you're going to have to just go with it, go with the reality. And that also creates an opportunity. So while the contrast it could not be clearer, Donald Trump is willingly putting his own supporters into harm's way and anybody who they come into contact with, frankly. And Joe Biden is not willing to do that because he's listening to the scientists. So it shows the contrast in leadership, but it provides Biden an opportunity to communicate with voters in an organic fashion using social media and social platforms. They are already doing this, frankly. They've had DJ events with D. Nice and Kamala Harris. And so more of things like that, I think, are the way in which Joe Biden and his campaign writ large can communicate with the voters that he needs to turn out, because that's where this election is going to be win or lost. And Mary Trump made a very critical point at the end of that interview, which is that in order for Donald Trump to basically slink away in defeat, he needs to be resoundingly defeated. And that is an important point, because that means that we have to focus on mail-in voting access right now, make sure that funding is there to scale up the mail-in voting in the states where it is not accessible, so that Joe Biden's voters can access the ballot. Because if you can't access it, is it really a right?
Zerlina, there's a lot of polling information that we could talk about tonight, but I'm wondering if we're at the point that in this campaign where the numbers we need to watch that could tell us what the result is going to be are basically the coronavirus numbers. That if you look into, say, this stunning number that came out of Florida, where they tested high school age kids and younger, and they found 31% of them testing positive for coronavirus. With numbers like that coming out, while one candidate is saying all of those kids should go back into classrooms and sit shoulder to shoulder in those classrooms, it seems those numbers are pointing to who's going to win this campaign just as strongly as the polling numbers are.
That's exactly right. And one person believes and listens to the scientists, and the other person has told people to inject disinfectant. That's the thing that happened. I think I say it in every segment now because I think it is the moment where we should have snapped out of it. We cannot be gaslit to our deaths. And that's what Donald Trump is doing every single day when he comes out and pretends this is not happening. It is happening. People are dying. People in my family have died. I am afraid for everyone I know and I think everybody feels that sense of urgency because, the stakes are very, very high in this election. It's always important to participate in your democracy, but this is a life and death question that are being asked of voters in this country. And I think the answers are pretty simple. You're either going to go with the scientists who are going to ensure that Joe Biden has the right information and that he can distribute that vaccine to the American people. And then you have Donald Trump, and we see how he handles a crisis.